Stand by. We're live.
Good evening and welcome to the Toms River Township Council meeting of April 28th. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We're going to rise for a salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is convened in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey. Let the official minutes reflect that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by publishing a notice in the Asbury Park Press on Wednesday, January 8th, 2020, the Press of Atlantic City, and the Star Ledger, and also forwarded to the Toms River Times, Toms River Patch, and WOVM News on Monday, January 6th, 2020. And thereafter posting same on the Town Hall Bulletin Board for such notices, and filing same with the Township Clerk pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Township Council on Friday, January 3rd, 2020. The meeting dates have also been posted on the Township web page. This evening, any questions on items on our agenda? And we also have our budget hearing and the bid budget hearing. We request anyone from the public that has any questions to please email questions@tomsrivertownship.com. 3 questions per email will be allowed. If you have more than 3 questions, you can send another email. And in the base of the email, we need your name, address, and town you live in for the record. How do we do it now? Do we want to, Clerk, you want to start a roll call just to make sure everyone was able to log in?
Sure.
And have it for the record?
Councilwoman Yurick.
Here.
Councilman Kopp.
Here.
Councilman Latano.
Here.
Councilman Roderick.
Here.
Councilman Turnbuck.
Here.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Here.
Council President Maruka.
Present.
The first item, the approval of the minutes of April 14th, 2020.
Move the minutes.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Latano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
I'm going to abstain. I haven't been able to see the minutes.
Councilman Turnbuck.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
We do not have any honoring resolutions and presentations tonight, so we'll move on to item number 7, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 383, Parks Municipal of the Township Code to amend certain fees for the Winding River Park Ice Skating Rink Facilities, final reading.
This is the second reading and public hearing on this ordinance. Anyone from the public that has any questions, we'd ask you please send an email to questions@tomsrivertownship.com. If you have quite a few questions, you can just send us an email prior and just let us know that you will be sending questions in, whichever is the quickest way for the public to alert us that we have questions coming in. We're just going to give a little bit of time if the public does have any questions on this. Okay.
You want to go to 8 and 9?
Sure. While we are waiting for any questions to come in on the final, the public hearing for ordinance number 7, we can move to, on the advice of the attorney, to ordinance number 8 because it's a first read.
Item 8 is an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 104, Employee Regulations and Benefits of the Township Code to revise regulations governing direct deposit for township employees.
Move the ordinance on first reading.
Second, Councilman Gagan.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, second by Council Vice President Gagan. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Councilman Cox.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Item 9 is an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, establishing a new Chapter 310 of the Township Code governing the provision of emergency medical services to patient care facilities in the township. First reading.
Move the ordinance on first, Councilman Gagan.
Second, Councilman Kopp.
Motion was made by Council Vice President Gagan, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
I don't know what the justification is for this. I'm going to abstain. Maybe very, very good reason for this, but I don't quite understand it and haven't had an opportunity to speak to the business administrator about it as of yet. So I'm going to abstain on first.
This actually came out of the Law and Public Safety Committee.
Right, I still don't know what I'm voting on, so unless you want to explain it now, I mean, or I can just,
This is on the first read. You can get with one of the committee members and they could explain it to you. Councilman Roderick, if you have questions on things that are on the agenda, we should really have them prior to voting. So
that'd be
we can-
great. That would be great if you could get anybody on the phone. That would be terrific. So
Okay. You have all our numbers, so give us a call.
I do.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yeah.
Council
Yes.
President Maruka.
Yes. Okay. Destiny, have we received any questions on ordinance number 7, the one on final read?
No, we have not.
We have not received any questions. Okay.
Is that sufficient to close the public comment period?
You take a motion.
Okay, I make the motion to close the public comment period, being is that we have received no questions by email in the last 5 minutes.
Second, Councilman Lotano.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Council Spencer on the ordinance?
Move the ordinance final.
Second, Councilman Lotano.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Lotano. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Next, we have the 2020 Toms River Township Municipal Budget Public Hearing.
This time, we're opening up the public hearing on our 2020 municipal budget. A presentation was made at our introduction a few weeks ago, and it has been on our website for the past few weeks. We do have our CFO, Alex Davis, with us, and also we have our administrator, Mr. Guardian, with us. If anyone from the public has questions, they could send them into questions@tomsrivertownship.com, and we'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Just make sure your name, address, and town are within the email. We're going to keep this portion open for about approximately 10 or 15 minutes. And what we're going to do is we're going to go down and we are going to continue with the council, the rest of the council agenda, the resolutions on the front. And then once the time has passed, we'll answer the question, go back to the budget hearing. Is that correct, Mr. Fitzsimmons?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go to consent? No, we're going to go, I would move to 13. Okay. Moving to item 13, a resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, urging the governor and the legislature to enact Senate Bill number 2346 to extend certain permits during the COVID-19 emergency.
Move the resolution?
Second, Councilman Gagan.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, second by Council Vice President Gagan. Councilwoman Yurick,
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Councilman Latano,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
Yes.
Councilman Turnbuck,
Yes.
Council President Baruka.
Yes.
Item 14, a resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending a resolution consenting to the issuance of certain short-term notes by the Toms River Municipal Utilities Authority.
This resolution is in regard to the emergency repair work that had to take place on Windsor Avenue in regard to the sinkhole that the MUA had to repair. Just to give a little background on this. Council's pleasure on 14.
Move the resolution on file. Councilman Kopp.
Second.
I was muted.
Excuse me. Motion made by Councilman Kopp, second by Councilwoman Yurick. Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick,
Yes.
Councilman Latano,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
Yes.
Councilman Turnbuck,
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Council President Baruka.
Yes.
Item 15, a resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, urging the Senate and the House of Representatives to pass and President Trump to sign H.R. number 6454, Equity for Disaster Victims Act of 2020, to cancel repayment for community disaster loans issued for Superstorm Sandy to ease the financial burden on municipalities caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Move the resolution on first, Councilman Gagan.
Second.
Councilman Turnbuck.
Is that Councilman Kopp?
Nope, this is Councilman Turnbuck.
Turnbuck. Motion made by Council Vice President Gagan, seconded by Councilman Turnbuck. Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Councilman Turnbuck,
Yes, I appreciate the township placing this on. It's obviously very important to us right now, and I would urge Congressman Smith and Congressman Van Drew, who have sponsored this bill, to continue to push this forward. It will certainly have an impact potentially on our municipal budget or in our municipal budget in the future. So I'm thankful for their sponsorship of the bill, and I'm thankful for the township placing this on. Vote yes.
Councilwoman Yurick,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Councilman Latano,
Yes, I want to, echo Councilman Turnbuck's sentiments of this is a FEMA loan from Hurricane Sandy, and other towns in our area with similar situations had it forgiven. This is a very important thing to our township budget, and I am thrilled that we have the opportunity to have that loan forgiven.
Councilman Roderick,
Yes.
Council President Baruka.
I too am thankful to Congressman Smith and also Congressman Van Drew, and also the bill that's in the Senate, because this is something that Toms River really should have forgiven. This FEMA loan has been hanging over our heads since 2012, and it's come to the point where we're urging our congressional delegation to do what they can through Trenton. And we've also reached out to Congressman Kim's office, and they have also been actively working on this for us as well. And I vote yes.
Next, item 16, a resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, urging Governor Murphy and the New Jersey Turnpike Authority to reconsider plans to increase tolls on the Garden State Parkway and the New Jersey Turnpike, and urging Governor Murphy to fill the existing vacancy on the New Jersey Turnpike Authority Board of Commissioners with a resident of Ocean County.
Council's pleasure.
Move the resolution on file. Councilman Kopp.
Second, Councilman Lotano.
Motion made by Councilman Kopp, seconded by Councilman Lotano. Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes. Should we go back to the public hearing? Okay. Destiny, we're going to go back to the public hearing on our municipal budget. Have we received any questions on our budget or comments?
So far, we've received a comment from Deborah Martin at 1921 Ocean Avenue, Unit 2, Orly Beach. She said, "We are being asked to pay even higher taxes, and yet today just found out no homestead rebate for this year. Has council questioned this? At OBBTA, Mr. Guardian mentioned increase on a $275,000 house. How about based on the values in Ortley? I work full-time serving county, and I am quite upset with all of this. Deborah Martin's got to come up with an extra 90 cents. Thank you, Deborah Martin."
Thank you, Destiny, for that comment. Okay. Mr. Fitzsimmons, what would you recommend with our municipal budget? Keeping the public hearing open?
No, are there any more comments? I couldn't fully hear Destiny.
That was just the one comment that we've had so far. No questions as of yet. Okay. We're at 8 minutes? Okay. Why don't, council, we're going to go
Give it a
to
few more.
our, we're going to keep the public hearing open just for some more questions and comments. And we're going to go to our consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired on any item, that item can be considered separately. Does anyone from the public have a comment on our consent agenda? You can please send us a quick email with the consent agenda letter. And does anyone from the council have any comments or any questions on our consent agenda and would like an item pulled and discussed separately?
Council President, Councilman Gagan, item G is in golf. Like a separate roll call vote on that.
Okay. All right, anyone else on the council? Destiny, have we received any emails on items on our consent agenda?
Not for the consent agenda. We just have one comment, but nothing asking for it to be removed.
Okay. A comment on an item on the consent agenda?
Yes, I don't know if you want that on public hearing or if you want that read now.
Nope, but we can pull that separately and we can listen to the comment on that. What item number is it and letter?
It's L.
Okay. Actually, I was going to pull L and speak on that myself, so, okay. Perfect. wait a couple more minutes, or we're fine with the consent agenda, Mr. Fitzsimmons?
I think we're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, President,
Great.
this is Council President. This is Councilman Turnbach. Maybe we could just explain M to the residents as well. I know that was a work in progress, and I believe that was just added today after the executive order today. So it's probably worth an explanation just to our public as to what that is and what that means.
Okay, great. Yes, I totally agree, Councilman Carver. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so we're going to be,
Thank you, Council President.
would anyone like to move the rest of the items on the consent agenda except for G, L, and M? The remaining items.
I'll move the consent agenda with the exceptions of G, L, and M. This is Lori.
Councilman Gagan, I'll second that motion.
Okay. Motion made to move the consent agenda with the exception of items G, L, and M made by Councilwoman Yurick, second by Council Vice President Gagan. Councilwoman Yurick,
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Montano,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach,
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes. Can we have a roll call on item G? Motion?
Make a motion for a roll call on item G. Councilman
Second it. Councilman Lozano.
Motion made by Councilman Turnbach, seconded by Councilman Lotano. Councilman Turnbach,
Yes.
Councilman Lotano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
I'm sorry, you just broke up on me.
Councilman Roderick.
Consent agenda, correct?
Yes,
G.
we are on item G.
G?
Item
Okay,
G.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan,
I have to abstain on that vote.
okay, and Council President Maruka.
Yes. Okay. On item L, item L was something we had done previously, prior councils right after Sandy. We instituted this program for a reimbursement for sidewalk damage. And this came out of the wake of what we call the tornado storm that we had last week, in talking with Councilman Lotano and also Councilman Turnbach, who went out into that area, did some work at the church, met with the residents. This was something that we've already had it previously used before, and it specifically helped a lot of the residents in the Silverton area where their sidewalks were destroyed after Sandy. This will be a reimbursement on their deductible up to $750 for the residents on their insurance policy there. So I want to thank Councilman Lotano and Councilman Turnbach for working on this so we could get this on for the agenda tonight in just a short week right after we had the storm in that area. Justina, I know you have a comment on L. Could you please read that comment for us?
Sure. The comment is from Scott Thompson, 112 Messenger Street. He addresses this to Mayor Hill and yourselves. As a resident of Toms River, I applaud letter L on consent agenda, second to last item on agenda. As I was unfamiliar with a Pedestrian Safety Act, being that it has come to my knowledge, is there a way to be proactive and look at future hazards? My example would be, I have a tree that has forced the sidewalk up to where pedestrians cannot walk or ride bikes safely. It's my understanding some 15 years ago, an ordinance or law was passed that claimed this piece of land to no longer be township property. In this one case of mine, the tree is literally supporting electric and cable wires. This is not uncommon in the downtown village area. Numerous companies have come for estimates and none will touch it. Is this something the town can take a look at?
Thank you, Destiny. We can possibly have engineering take a look at it. We could possibly have our legal department take a look at it and see if it's anything that we can do. We've already deeded the property back over to the homeowner. But that is, I mean, it really doesn't have anything to do with this ordinance, I mean, this resolution that we have on right now, specifically within the area that was damaged, and also for the reimbursements from the homeowner's policy.
Council President, this is Councilman Turnbach. I'm certainly happy to go out to 112 Messenger Street and meet with Mr. Thompson and take a look at what he's talking about, then report back to the council. I can do that this week.
That would be great. Thank you so much, Councilman Turnbach.
Thank you, Council President.
Council, pleasure on item L?
Move item L.
Move. Second, Councilman Lozano.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Lozano. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes, and I'd like to say that this is a great use of the Pedestrian Safety Fund. Having sat on the planning board for a couple of years, I saw a lot of funds go into that bank, and I think this is great use of it. So thank you, and yes.
Councilman Lozano.
I vote yes. I just want to clarify that this is referring to sidewalks and whatnot that have been damaged by a storm. It's not referring to anything brought in by a tree or another outside force. It's specific to a storm. But yes, I vote yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruga.
Yes. Okay, the next item we're going to speak about would be item M. And I know Councilman Turnbach, you asked that we talk about this. Do you mind if I turn it over to our CFO, because he actually alerted us that this possibly might be happening today?
I think that would be great. Thank you, Council President.
Mr. Davidson, would you just like to give us a little bit of a background on item M for the property tax grace period?
Sure, Council President. So there was a lot of discussion weeks ago about us extending our grace period. However, without executive action at the governor's level of the state, we did not have the legal authority to do so. Mr. Fitzsimmons could comment on that at length. But what Governor Murphy's executive order late this afternoon allowed us to do at the township is pass the resolution, which is the one in question right now, utilizing his executive order, which gave us the authority to pass the resolution and give an extended grace period from May 10th to June 1st. Now, what that's going to allow the taxpayer to do is make their tax payment anytime between now and June 1st and incur no interest, where prior to that, they would have the grace period until only May 10th. Anything after that, any interest due would get backdated to May 1st. Now, if the payment, as of now, if pending any other executive action at the governor level and the local level, if the payment's not in by June 1st, any interest is then retroactive all the way back to May 1st. So I do want to make sure that is clear. But it does give everybody much more time to make their tax payments.
I have a question. Does this apply also to banks? If banks are late paying us as far as taxes that were supposed to be given to us from escrow accounts?
Yes.
Does this apply to banks as well?
Yes, Councilman. It is every taxpayer.
What percentage of our tax revenues come in from banks?
Approximately 35%.
35%. So still a majority of our residents will have an opportunity to wait a little while as far as paying their taxes are concerned. 65%, you're saying?
Correct. Roughly.
Thank you.
Mr. Davidson, I have a question for you as well. These tax dollars, we still owe them out to the school and the fire company and the other places because, you know, not all the money that you pay in your property taxes comes to the township. Do we have enough funds to allocate those resources without taking in the money?
Yes, Councilman. One of my primary focuses since this crisis started is maintaining our cash flow so that we have the liquidity necessary to pay all of our liabilities. One of them is, as you know, the monthly payment of the tax levy to the school district, the quarterly payment to the county, quarterly payment to fire districts. All those levies are guaranteed by us, and we therefore bear the burden of any uncollected taxes. But yes, our liquidity is solid in the short term.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Turnbuck, do you have anything to add?
No, I appreciate the explanation as always from Alex, and I'm happy to move the resolution.
Thank you.
Second?
Motion made by Councilman Turnbuck, seconded by Councilwoman Yurick. Councilman Turnbuck.
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Latano.
Yes.
Councilman Broderick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Council President, I report that that was the 15-minute alarm.
Okay. All right, now we are going to go and take any questions we have on our 2020 municipal budget for the public hearing. Destiny, have you received any questions from the public?
I did get something from Deborah Martin, just clarifying she meant $900, not 90 cents.
Okay, thank you. Have you received any other questions on the budget besides the clarification from Ms. Martin?
Yes, I have something, sorry, from Dennis Galanti of 1149 Cherokee Court, Toms River. How do you think our taxpayers and homeowners can afford such an increase? Between the municipal and Toms River School increase, what will be expected to happen in this town? What will you do next year when our revenue stream dries up?
Mr. Davidson, I know you have looked at our reserves, and you and the administration have presented this budget as basically a bare bones for us right now. With the increase, we have a 3.7. We've actually reduced it a penny. And also, I know that we have an efficiency study going out, which is going to look for some more savings within that.
Excuse me, Council President, I think it was 4.2 and now it's 3.8, correct?
I believe it was 3.7. Mr. Davidson, can you?
So it's a half a cent, not a
It
full.
went down a half.
I'm sorry,
A half a cent.
a half a penny on that.
So it's still a 6%. It's still a 6% tax increase this year, plus another 5.5% at the school board, correct?
I
Alex?
do not exactly with the school board. They're meeting tomorrow night to finalize theirs.
It's a gigantic tax increase on the taxpayers this year.
Council President, or maybe Mr. Davidson, I'd like you to explain where the percentage comes from, because when you say it's like a 6% increase, or it's actually a 5.8% increase, that is on the municipal tax rate, not on your total property taxes. People get confused. I've had people ask me this question of, are my taxes really going to go up 7%? It is, I believe the number to your total tax rate is about 1.6%, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Davidson, can you clarify that for everybody?
On the municipal side, it is going up right now 5.8%, but you are correct, Councilman. When we look at the total tax bill, where we only account for about a third of it, our tax increase is 1.55% on the total tax bill as of 2019 total.
But the school board has proposed a budget with 5.5% tax increase as well, and that's another enormous portion. So depending upon what the county does, I mean, people are looking at a very, very, very large, very substantial tax increase. And the administration's done nothing to control spending this year, right? I mean, there's $3.7 million worth of new vehicles, $1 million at the ice rink. Now we're going to farm out $500,000 worth of legal work to a private company. I mean, there's an awful lot of spending going on. And I know we're showing now a 6% increase as opposed to a 7% increase because we furloughed some guys for 6 weeks or whatever it's going to be. But that's not a long-term solution. I mean, the administration still, this is 2 years in a row where you know, they've refused to shop around for health insurance. And my God, we could save millions of dollars by just saving a few $1,000s per policy. So, you know, this is a very large increase. I don't support it. You know, the taxpayers can't afford an increase like this, especially at a time like this. It's very insensitive. You know, I think that the administration needs to do more to save money and, so, you know, stop the spending. I mean, when we have to service all of this debt, I mean, that's we're going to have to pay on that, you know, I mean, for years. So anyway, I'm sorry, I interjected there. You were saying, Alex?
That's okay. So we just
you
like
don't mind,
Mr.
I'm sorry, Council President. If you don't mind, I just would like to interject as well. Nobody's happy about any property tax increase. The fact is that we went 3 years without a municipal increase. And now we're looking at about 5.8% increase. You know, it averages out at less than 1.5% a year. Nobody wants to do it, but we have
Matt,
to.
you're robbing the
Hold on one
flat
second,
taxes
sir.
that we were flat for several years. Now this administration is clawing all that money back and spending like there's no tomorrow. I mean, you know, like I said, it's very like us to spend $3.7 million on new vehicles and $1 million to update the golf course, to decide that we're going to farm out $500,000 or $400,000 worth of work to a firm and still leave a $400,000 in-house costs on the table. I mean, there's no attempt. No one's even shopping for health insurance. Shopping. I mean, if your insurance went up, you'd go to see Geico. You'd call Geico.
You're not correct.
Dan, your information is incorrect.
Yes,
Your information is incorrect.
Council President.
Lori? I'm on the budget committee since we've gotten here, Lori. What's incorrect about the 7% tax increase and the 6%?
I'm talking about all the details you're spewing about, that we didn't do anything with the golf course. We actually
I didn't
brought
say
someone
anything about
in
the
to
golf
help.
course, Lori. You have to
You
listen
sure
a little
did.
more closely. No,
You
I
just
said the
said
ice rink,
something about
Lori.
the golf
They're
course.
spending $1 million on the ice rink. You would know that if you read the budget, Lori, but you don't read it. You just vote right along with everybody else. It's, you know, you ran on a platform of stopping tax increases. You voted for every single spending increase that's ever been put forward here on this by this governing body. Every single spending increase.
Dan, I'm sorry, you
don't know
interrupted
what
me
you're
while I was speaking, and then it's gotten carried away.
Go for it. I'm sorry. Hopefully this is.
Thank you. You did bring up a good point, though. You have been on the Finance Committee for 3 years. The other members of the Finance Committee are Council President Maruka and myself, who've been on for 4 months. I was in the audience last year when you voted against the 2 years. Okay, I'm sorry. I was in the audience last year when you voted against the flat tax, and it seems to me like you just want to vote down the budget.
Matt, I voted against the $5 million increase in spending. And I was very clear about that. You should read the newspaper once in a while, and you would see that in that year I had said that we were kicking the can down the road and it would result in higher taxes if someone didn't have the political courage to control spending. And obviously you don't have the political courage to do so, nor does anybody else up here. You're all yes men for the mayor. You'll do whatever he tells you to do. You got to cut spending. People are not going to be able to afford to live
That's
here
why we're doing the efficiency
People are
study.
not going to be able to afford to live here anymore.
Councilman Roderick, if I can gavel down
You're
right
totally
now.
out of line.
You are out of line. Excuse me, I'd like Mr. Guardian to go over some numbers of what the administration has done. They've been presented, but I guess.
Oh, get out of here. It's ridiculous. 3.7 million vehicles in there this year. $1 million for the golf course.
Council President.
Council President, this is Councilman Turnbuck.
Just said the golf again.
So, respect the quorum, I'd ask that he either be muted or removed. That we have to move this meeting along, but we have to respect.
Move forward then. Move forward. Vote for the tax increase, Terrence. You vote for every tax increase, every spending increase that they ever put forward anyway. Just vote for it. That's what you're going to do. Say yes.
All I'm
What have
asking
you done
is
in
that
2 years
conduct
to lower
yourself
the finances?
I
respect.
voted the right way every single time.
It takes more than voting.
And I've had the political courage to do it. I didn't back Kelleher when he was spending too much money. I'm not going to back Hill. But you guys are going to do whatever they want you to do.
I'd
You
like.
were elected by the taxpayer. You weren't elected by Mayor Hill.
Gentlemen, I'd like Mr. Guardian to speak for on the administration and go over the numbers.
Sure.
With all due respect, Alex, do you want to just chime in here so you can talk about specifics on what we're trying to do to hold down costs?
Yes, we are looking at items to save costs. I do want to clarify one thing, though, Council. The $1 million that's being referenced for the ice rink and the other capital expenditures they aren't paid for from our budget. That's paid for out of our capital plan when we adopt our bond ordinances. Now, that is authorizing debt that we then pay down, but that's a part of our debt management plan where when one bond rolls off and it's been completely paid off, we bond again so that you try your best to remain debt service even so that the taxes to the taxpayer are relatively flat with everything you can do with as far as interest rates and useful life, and you try and build your debt service schedule to have as minimal impact to the taxpayer as possible. So I do just want to clarify that a lot of these capital expenditures, while they are capital intense and large dollar figures, they don't have an immediate budget impact. They do eventually through debt service, but as debt falls off, you bond those projects.
Alex, if we weren't taking on $10 million in additional debt this year, what is the tax cost of $10 million in debt, sir?
Not taking
A lot, right? I mean, a real lot.
Yes. But we have.
And it'll be huge next year, and it'll be huge the year after that. And within 2 or 3 years, we're all going to have to move out of here because we're not going to be able to afford to live here. So we have to stop the spending. Obviously, everybody knows where I am on this. I don't think the council or the mayor or anyone has done enough to hold the line on taxes. It's 6% is an enormous increase, and to furlough guys and to not have a long-term strategy as to how you're going to handle $40,000 a year health insurance that no one is willing to shop for. I mean, if you saved a couple $1,000s per employee, you'd save millions. So like I said, I don't know how we can face the taxpayer and say that we've done all we can do when we haven't, So that's all I have to say about this. I know we're all going to disagree, but that's where I'm at.
Alex, would you like to go over any of the other numbers or expand on that, or Mr. Guardian?
Unless a specific question is asked, I don't know what you'd like, Council.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions on the budget? What is the council's decision?
Do we need to close the public hearing first, or do we in the budget?
Yes, we will. Okay, let's close the public hearing. I don't believe
Move to close the public hearing, unless there's more questions.
She was just here. Let's wait till she gets downstairs. She just dropped something off here, Councilman Bjork. Let's wait until she's downstairs and we'll see if we can see if she has any more questions from the public. Give her a couple more minutes on that.
Council President? Oh,
Yes.
okay. I do have one comment from Scott Thompson at 112 Messenger Street. He says, hello. Dan Roderick is not wrong. I have lived in Toms River for 40 years. Any increase would force me to move. I simply cannot afford tax increase. I personally know some of the council, as I'm good as gone from Toms River with any increase in taxes. He's not wrong. I want to live here, born and raised, 41 year, it was old. Always TR, but we cannot do it anymore. Scott Thomas.
Okay. And that's all you have from the public, Destiny?
On the budget, yes.
Okay. Councilman York, you have a motion on the table?
Move to close the public comments portion of the public hearing. Yes.
For a second?
Second, Councilman Turnbach.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, council. It's a decision on the 2020 municipal budget.
Move the 2020 budget.
Council President, if I may, I apologize for interrupting. We are amending the budget by resolution first. The vote to adopt the budget will be May 12th.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, that's right. I'm sorry. You're right, exactly.
We're amending it to decrease, right?
Right, we are
Close the
closing.
resolution to amend the 2020.
And then, okay. So we close the public hearing on our budget, and then we are moving to vote on that for May 12th, okay? On that, we will go to item number 11.
So move the resolution to amend the 2020 budget.
Second, Councilman Turnbull.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Turnbull. Councilwoman Yurick,
Yes.
Councilman Turnbull,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Councilman Lotano,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
No.
Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes. Okay, and the adoption of the budget will be at the May 12th meeting. The next one I believe we have on is item number 12.
That's true. It's the public hearing for the 2020 Toms River Special Improvement District budget.
This is our public hearing for the 2020 Toms River Special Improvement District budget. We do have Nick Giorgio, who is their executive director for this budget. Council, it was within your package there. If any members of the public have any questions on this budget, they could email them to questions. Nick, do you just want to go over a little bit of the budget?
Yes, thank you, Council President, and good evening, Toms River. My name is Alazar Zorju. I am the director of the Toms River Business Improvement District in downtown Toms River. This evening, I will be presenting our 2020 budget. As an FYI, this budget is available on the township's website, and as of probably tomorrow, it will be available on the downtown Toms River website. I will do a rundown of some of our general information, talk a bit about our committees, and provide a brief highlight list of some of the notable events that have happened in downtown this past year. Our website is www.downtowntomsriver. If you have any questions about our specific events or committees, please visit that and feel free to email me another time if you have questions going forward. For this meeting, please follow the township's protocol and email the designated address within the township for questions. Okay, to start off here, some general information about the Toms River Business Improvement District. I think the first question many people have who aren't familiar with the organization is, what is a business improvement district? A BID, as they're known, is a quasi-government agency, which is incorporated as a nonprofit organization, and it's created by a township ordinance. This was done back in 2002 at the request of local business owners in downtown. Why would a group of business owners do this? The purpose of a BID is to enhance government services in a geographic area. And the purpose of that enhancement is to improve the quality of life and commerce. Who is part of our BID? Our BID is made up of 5 employees. We have 3 full-time employees, myself, a marketing director who handles our promotions and special events, and a gentleman who handles buildings and grounds and general maintenance in the building and in the district. Further, we have 2 part-time employees which handle bookkeeping and assist with our administrative tasks and event planning. Beyond that, we are guided by our board of directors. We have a 19-person board of directors. It includes business owners, property owners, residents, and also government officials. There are several positions that are appointed from different government agencies to keep us in the loop about local government. Additionally, Additionally, we also work with about 50 or more volunteers, a mix of students from the high schools through the team program, local businesses, friends and family of the bid that come out and help us with our events. Further, we have numerous partners, a list that's too long for me to go through, but it includes area businesses, government agencies, local nonprofits, residential associations, and the schools. The reason we're here tonight is to talk about our budget. To ask, how does the bid find its funding? It is through a special tax assessment. That makes up 2/3 of our budget. Some bids throughout the country rely solely on the assessment. That is not the case for our bid. Although, like I said, just about 65% of the budget comes from the assessment, which is a tax. It's the same as if it's a special assessment tax, the same as if someone were to have their sidewalks repaired. That tax would fall on the homeowner. In this case, the Business Improvement District covers a designated area, and only the commercial property owners in that area pay into the bid tax. So although the township assesses that money and collects it, it is sent to the bid to see through our mission and objectives. Beyond the assessment, we go out and do fundraising through sponsorships, event fees from our special street festivals and farmers market. We have a retail incubator, which I'll talk more about in a moment, but we receive rent for those spaces. And we would go after several government grants. What do we spend that money on? Just about half of it goes toward payroll and payroll services. Among our employees, our average salary, including mine, which is obviously above everyone else's as the director, is less than $45,000 a year. So I like to say that we do a lot with a little. In that effort, we also put money toward promotions, running events and special promotions for downtown, other committee business, which I'll talk a little bit more about later, the mortgage for the building that we occupy on Main Street, which is the old Tommy's Restaurant at 53 Main Street, costs for our building, costs for our trolley, and other administrative miscellaneous expenses over the course of the year. So where do we operate? The general borders of the bid, and again, you have to consider only commercial property in this area, covers to the west, the Garden State Parkway, Hooper Avenue, and then Hadley Avenue, and then it juts out to Lexington Avenue to the east, the south side of Route 37 to the north, and that basically goes from the Cole Shopping Center to Perkins, and then the river to the south. All commercial property within that area is considered part of downtown Toms River. Where else do we operate? Physically, we operate within an office building above our shops on Main Street. On the first floor of that building, we have the retail incubator, which is a series of stores that we rent out to local entrepreneurs that want to launch a retail business in the downtown. And then we also have other facilities throughout the district that we maintain. We have a storage unit in the Allied Building Supply building. We have self-storage lockers that we rent out in our basement of our building. And we have a fleet of vehicles that you see throughout the district. Okay, so which government services do we attempt to enhance? And it covers a pretty broad spectrum, and it changes as the way of the world and the needs of commerce and the district change. But most importantly, I'd say we work with our planning department within Toms River Township. We attend zoning meetings when needed, and we work alongside the parking authority. These things go into our land use committee. Our primary purpose is to work on business and development and to be a liaison to local government for our businesses. We do all of that in the realm of economic restructuring, another one of our committees. We work with our chief of police, our sheriff, and beyond when it comes to public safety. At this time, we're working very closely with the Ocean County Health Department. We also get involved in streetscapes and sanitation, and that comes from our design committee. Get involved with the Ocean County Business and Tourism Council, and we try to attempt to bring foot traffic to downtown. So we work on tourism, marketing, and special events, and all of this is done through our promotions committee. We get involved in other things as well, such as recreation, arts, and history. That's accomplished through our cultural committee. and additional community services. We always want to hear what our residents are doing and what their life is like in the district, so we have a resident committee. Some of the special events that we don't run every event downtown. We try to be involved in all of them, and we certainly try to cross-promote every event. But we are responsible for the Chili Cook-Off, the Summer in the Street Festival, formerly known as the Ice Cream Festival, the Harvest Arts Festival, the Farmers Market, Cruisin' Downtown, Huddy Park Game Night, the Christmas tree lighting, and numerous ribbon cuttings, unveilings, grand openings, and other ad hoc events as needed. To revisit our retail incubator known as the Downtown Shops at 53 Main, this is one of our biggest objectives and our biggest efforts to bring additional creative retail to downtown. We have a number of spaces in there currently occupied by ourselves and our Welcome Center. We just said goodbye to our longest standing tenant, Van Gogh Pottery, and hopefully they find a place to land on their feet within the district soon. We have the Toms River Artist Community Art Gallery. We have a CBD shop. We also have a Good Vibes food business, which sells prepackaged, pre-made meals. And coming soon, we will be welcoming an interior design studio that hopes to open in June. Further, and as long as things improve, we're working on partnering with the Brennan Foundation to bring the Toms River Schools Business Academy into the incubator, which will operate a retail laboratory for their business academy. So very exciting. The shops operate Monday through Saturday, and the hours vary based on the different businesses. You may have also seen one of our other initiatives, the Downtown Trolley. Back in 2018, you would have seen it moving around the district. This past year, you probably saw it sidelined for the entire summer. But that's because we're working through some issues with the state and some inspections, and we hope to see it running this summer. Moving on. Without taking up too much more of your time, I would just like to point out a few more of our initiatives that fall under our committees. Economic Restructuring and Land Use Committee focuses on redevelopment, our retail incubator, our trolley, and a facade grant, which was recently awarded to the Battle River Brewery, which we expect to open in the next few weeks. More on that later. From a promotions perspective, it's sort of twofold. There's the marketing and the events. From the marketing perspective, we maintain a website, a welcome center. We handle the ribbon cuttings. We run a monthly think tank, which a number of you have all participated in. We put out a monthly newsletter featuring a business event and news every month. And we operate various social media accounts. We also put out public relations, such as press releases, statements, and letters. And we hope to advertise as best we can for the district as a whole. In terms of events, I already went over those, so you know which ones we run. I will point out that the Farmers Market is our next event to kick off. And given that that is considered an essential service, we do expect to launch the event beginning on time, on May 20th, about a month from now, at our new location, located behind 700 Main Street, right there on Main Street, the big orange church. It's known as New Life Church. In the parking lot behind that, we've moved our farmers market there, and we will be beginning those services on the 20th of May. Moving on, our design committee looks at sanitation throughout the district. They empty about 20 cans every day throughout the area. We get a lot of help from the township, from the county, and from others who have a stake in cleanliness in downtown. But we try to lead the charge in routine maintenance, what I call guerrilla landscaping, which is when nobody wants to take responsibility for an issue. We'll go in and clean it up. And then obviously the Christmas decorations, fall decorations, and other holiday decorations we try to put up throughout the year. Finally, we have a cultural committee, which has two main initiatives, the Community Art Project Committee, which many of you on the council have been a part of, and certainly within the community have attended meetings for CAP. They're responsible for bringing statues, murals, and other art installments to downtown. Finally, we have a volunteer committee. Within our culture committee, we also have a history trail, which stems off of our trolley program. And it's a program that we launched last year with the help of Exit 82 Theater Company and Apex United, a business services downtown. Further, I'll talk finally about our organization committee, where we do have a residential component to it, and also our volunteers. I'll leave you with some notable events of 2019 to kind of show you the broad spectrum of initiatives and efforts that the bid gets into. Some of these we're directly responsible for, some of these we advocated for or were involved in. Most notably, and most, I'd say historically for our district, is the township's efforts to purchase and demolish the Red Carpet Inn. As everyone knows who knows downtown, that hotel wasn't bringing anything good to the table. We wish they would have. We wish we could have worked with them better, but things never really aligned with that place. And unfortunately, they were in a bad location as well. Given the fact that it was in a flood zone, given the fact that it was nothing but a public nuisance, and given the fact that there's major opportunity to greatly enhance our waterfront, we advocated for the township's efforts to purchase that building and demolish it. So that's probably number one on the list. That is number one. Further, that led to the Capadaglia Property Company submitting a proposal after the township put out an RFP. So we have opportunities for redevelopment along the waterfront and a lot more that can domino from there. Last year was when we purchased our trolley. And as I mentioned before, the route and service is still a working process as we work through bureaucratic hoops with the state DOT. But we're getting there. Huddy Park Game Night was launched as a new event in Huddy Park. Further, we welcomed many other events that other people ran, which we love to see. We saw Rock the River happen, the Graffiti Showdown, both were brought on board by Bubby's Beanery and his partners. We saw Exit 82 bring the Pride Festival for the first time ever to downtown Toms River. And we helped the Chief of Police and numerous religious organizations host the Around the World in Toms River multicultural event, which was held in Huddy Park. Further, I know I mentioned before the Hidden History Trail being developed. We had a great experience with Monmouth University and their design competition, which looked at properties within downtown, and they made a great presentation to numerous board members, members of the public, and members of the council and professional staff several months ago back in the Bishop Building. The Community Art Project Committee took leaps last year. Although quietly, you will see the fruits of their labor hopefully soon. As they're always looking for ways to bring additional art to downtown, we saw the Art Heals mural unveiled, and we also saw the Township Council designate an art district within downtown. We launched a new website last year. And finally, our first retail incubator graduate successfully opened a storefront on Washington Street, and that is the Clubhouse of Toms River. Unfortunately, like many other businesses downtown right now, they've had to close their doors until we're able to work through the COVID-19 issues. We look forward to seeing them back open. We're looking forward to seeing all of our businesses back open where they should be. Okay, that pretty much covers it for me. Thank you for your time, Council. And again, if there's any further information, I'll be here to take your questions. And going forward, please feel free to visit our website at www.downtowntomsriver.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Zorgio. Destiny, do we have any questions from the public on the bid budget?
We do, from Dennis Galanti at 1149 Cherokee Court, Toms River. He's saying, would you please tell me the percentage of your budget along with that figure? That is for administrative costs.
Sure. I believe he wants to know how much of our budget goes towards payroll and administration. Let me just pull up my sheet here. Including, well, going into next year, it'll only cover about 40% of our expenditures. But I'm checking the math for 2019. It was, I believe it was a bit higher. Just give me one moment here.
But we're actually going on this budget, correct? The 2020 budget, it's approximately 40%?
Yes, that's correct. I wasn't sure if you wanted to know what came out last year, though.
But the hearing is on the 2020 budget.
Does he mean, does he just mean salaries? Because earlier on you used 40% as your figure for salaries, but he said administrative costs. So I guess that would be any other fees you pay. In other words,
we're just talking about, 2020. We can look at our payroll taxes is about 4% of our expenditures. And that's the bulk of administrative costs.
Okay, and he's asking, how will those businesses downtown be able to afford the 3% given COVID-19? Have you reduced any cost, and how are you doing with donations, and what do you expect in any reduction in revenue from any canceling of revenues?
That's a great question. I think, from everyone, from a personal level to your business to our local government, we're all waiting to see how things begin to open. If I can attempt to address that as best I can, the bid first had to take care of putting our own life preserver on throughout this catastrophe. And we've applied and have been approved for the payroll protection program through the federal government. We've also been helping numerous businesses with getting that right. Now, once we've gone on to figure out our work from home processes and are rotating throughout the office and all of that, we now are able to shift gears in helping our businesses. And we've done that through outreach in numerous ways. We've directly called as many businesses as possible that are still answering the phone. Now, we've added numerous resources to our website, which direct you to our government programs, loans, forgivable loans, and grants that can help you with economic relief. We've sent out numerous email blasts and constant contacts to advertise that information. I believe Councilman Turnback even shared a piece of information with me earlier in the week that we got out through those meetings. And then we also try to share wherever possible what our businesses are doing downtown through our social media and especially through our Facebook. Given the reach we have, we try to echo whatever promotions groups are running. Going into the summer, we are preparing to run all of our events. We are certainly nervous that we may lose out on some sponsorships, and we know that things are going to be a little bit shaky in terms of grant funding from a tourism perspective. But we do have some ideas. Not so much that I'm able to share with you at this moment as we're still working through some of the logistics. I did talk about the farmers market, which will remain open and is considered an essential service. There will be a lot more news coming out very soon through a press release about how our summer events are going to be adapting. But we're hoping to keep everything going. Whether we have to postpone or adapt to the changes remains to be seen. But we don't plan on canceling anything. We don't plan on letting anyone go if we don't have to. And we hope to be at the ready for when things do ease up, that we are able to showcase all the great new businesses that we've welcomed to downtown last year. And even this year, amid this outbreak, we've had two great businesses open. The Well, which took over Cafe Enigma right there on Main Street, and also the Garden State Distillery, which is in the space next to Capone's Restaurant, just opened a few weeks ago. And we have a distillery downtown, and we couldn't be there for a ribbon cutting. It's heartbreaking. But that said, we're going to be at the ready for when things do open, and hopefully we come back better than ever with all the great groundwork our committees, board members, and businesses have been laying over the past few years. I hope that answers your question. And please feel free, let me know if that didn't, and if I could answer it better.
Okay, he has just one more question, and he's just asking, has there been any consideration now in a reduction in the 3% special tax?
He's referencing a 3% tax. I think I know what he's talking about there. The way the bid is laid out, we talked about that geographical area. There are really two different special districts within that. There's the Route 37 corridor, and then there's the downtown core. The 3% I believe he's referencing relates to how the assessment is spread out over the district. The Route 37 corridor, which is basically, if you think of the shopping center, the Toms River Shopping Center where Kohl's is, the old food town, and everything else that's in there, like the Office Lounge and Moe's and all the other businesses there, all the way down the Route 37 corridor, only on the south side, all the way to Hooper Avenue. all of those businesses are considered Route 37 corridor. Their assessment cannot be more than 3% of what their current property taxes are. So theirs cannot exceed 3%. This year, and it really hasn't been 3%. I don't know since when, but this year it's 2.4%. So we are below that threshold. For the downtown core, the max amount it could be is 10% of what you're already paying in taxes. Right now it's 7.8%. So we're below the threshold on what the maximum amount to be raised by taxation could be within the district. That's a little bit more of a complicated thing to go into. And if hopefully I'm heading in the right direction, I've answered your question. I'd be happy to elaborate if you'd like.
I think that basically did, because if you clarified what the 3% was, it can go up to 3%, but you're what, 2.4, you said, Nick, and then specifically for the what could go up to 10% in the downtown portion of the district, and that you said was below that 10% as well. Hey, Destiny, any other questions on this budget?
Not at this time, no.
Does anyone on the council have any questions?
I just have one question. I think what Mr. Galante was trying to get at is, is your bid tax increasing this year, decreasing? Is it staying the same? And do you have plans to cut the tax at all for the folks who are now suffering with these businesses not being open? So are you increasing taxes this year as a business improvement district?
Sure, I'd be happy to answer that. Again, you have to pay attention to the fact that there's two different areas. So in one area, the ratables went up. In the downtown core, our ratables went up this year. In the 37 corridor, they went down. So for the downtown core, that effective bid tax rate, based on my calculations, actually go down a little bit. For the 37 corridor, they actually trickle up just a little bit. And when it's all said and done, our amount to be raised by taxation is incrementally higher than it was last year. We don't want to shock the system and go straight to what the maximum 10%, 3% could be. But those numbers were...
So how much was your budget last year?
If I could finish.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were. There's a bit of a delay on the timing, and I'm sorry if I'm stepping over you. Go ahead.
Of course. The municipal budget and the bid budgets, they can be a little bit complicated. When it comes to how these things are created, it comes from the beginning when this was created by business owners. They wanted it to be 10% and 3%. And that's the conception that most people have. It should be 10% and 3%. But to bring it up to that overnight or in one budget year would be too much of a shock on our system. Our board of directors made the agreement years ago to work toward it, but not immediately. So the amount to be raised by taxation this year does go up. It goes from 275,000 to 280, to answer your question.
And Nick, is that because of the assessed values have gone up? I mean, basically, the rate didn't change, right?
Well, what's unfortunate is, our assessed values don't go up every year. The ratables, when I started back in 2016, were 195 million. This year, they're 189 million. And it's a combination of things. There's tax appeals. There's things that come on and off of the tax books. Exempt uses and non-exempt uses. It all impacts that number every year. It is an increase. There's no denying it, and it is a tax. But what you have to understand is that this does not affect the residential property owners. It's the commercial businesses. And at our board meetings, they vote on this. We put it together. We go by their judgment. And that is what it is this year.
So it's about 2% more this year than last.
Well, Councilman Roderick, I understand where you're going.
That's pretty respectable. Too bad the township couldn't.
No, I wouldn't take that approach. You're kind of simplifying something that's really not that simple. You're not looking at the rest of our income and what we're able to leverage those efforts with. We were able to fundraise for our trolley back in 2018 that paid for everything. We've already exceeded our fundraising to pay for the vehicle and beyond. And we expect that to go much further. A business improvement district is so important for the business community because we can be very agile and we can do things that government can't. We kind of look and behave like government. If someone were to send me an Oprah request tomorrow, I would handle it as such. But we're not necessarily a government agency. We're a little bit different. So you really have to see the whole big picture on that. You can look at some of the grant money we're going to be bringing in from the CDBG funding. You can look at the increase in sponsorships we're going after. There's a lot of streams of revenue that keep this organization thriving, and we're always looking to take those further so we can rely less on the assessment.
But just that one question for Mr. Galante. Do you have any plans to, cut back or give back some of these businesses that are, some of this money as a result of the COVID-19 crisis? Is there any kind of plan to do something like that or not?
Well, right off the bat, when you talk about giving back to the businesses, at the core purpose of the bid is to do just that. You could look at things like our facade grant program, which is putting money directly back into the hands of a business owner. A property owner could approach us with a concept for improving the front of their building. Case in point, the brewery, you can see that they had changed everything about the front of the building on Main Street, and they changed a lot of the things on the Washington Street side of it. They were able to do that with the help of our facade grant, which covered up to 1/3 of the cost. So for things like that, we do put money back in the hands of the businesses. When it comes to COVID-19, I think it's too early for us to tell. As I mentioned before, we had to put our life jacket on first, make sure that our organization can stay afloat.
I would think, though, it'd be more important to put a life jacket on the businesses first, not to cut you off there.
I understand where you're coming from with this. I know your MO here. I would encourage you to join us at a board meeting and learn more about what we're doing with these resources.
I know what goes on at your board meetings. I follow you. I do. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Georgiou.
Appreciate it.
Anyone else from the council have any questions? Destiny, any more questions from the public?
No.
We close, motion to close the public hearing on the bid budget.
Councilman Turnbuck, I'll move to close the public hearing on the Special Improvement District budget and thank Mr. Georgiou, as always, for his professionalism and his dedication to our township.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to move the bid budget for 2020.
Councilman Turnbuck, again, I'll move the bid budget for 2020.
Second, Councilman Kopp.
Motion was made by Councilman Turnbuck, second by Councilman Kopp to move the 2020 Toms River bid budget. Councilman Turnbuck.
Yes, and again, I just want to thank Mr. Georgiou. The bid really is one of the lifelines of our downtown. With all of the festivals that are run in the summer, the support for each and every business. I'm down here every day. I'm at these local businesses, and I know the local businesses are proud of the bid, support the work of Mr. Georgiou. And I thank you and say yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
And I would like to say that we're all looking forward to the trolley being opened back up. And if there's anything the township could do, you please let me know, and we'll try to make it happen.
Councilman Roderick.
I'm going to abstain.
Do you have a conflict or?
Well, I just don't know where we're going with social distancing and business climate and such. And, I don't know if planning like this is really such a good idea at this point in time. I mean, ordinarily, his budget is only 2% higher than it was in previous years. So it's not like it's way out of line or anything, but we don't know where we're going to be. And, so I don't want to cast that vote tonight.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Rook.
This bid budget was presented by the members. The membership has to vote on it, and it's presented by the board of directors. I think if any time was needed for a business organization to come along and help businesses, it's now. And, they are doing the best they can with what they have to work with. These are unknown times and territories for all of us. but to keep the business community involved, to keep the business community abreast of what's going on. The bid plays a vital role in that. And any information that they could share with each other or the township could share with them helps them. And this is a tax that's put on them by themselves. It doesn't come out of the residents. It is businesses working together with businesses for the betterment of the downtown. And I would vote yes on this budget. And Mr. Giorgio, thank you for your insightful presentation this evening.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Council.
Moving on, next up are the bills.
Councilman Turnbuck, I'll move the bill list.
Second. Councilwoman Yurick.
Motion made by Councilman Turnbuck, second by Councilwoman Yurick. Councilman Turnbuck,
I'd abstain from PO 20-02091, payable to the magistrates. PO 20-01619, Judge Scott Basin. PO 20-01836, payable to the Toms River Democratic Club. Bond 3, yes to the balance.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Abstained from PO 20-00162, payable to the Borough of Lavallette, and PO 20-02091, only line item 14 as it pertains to the recreation salaries, and PO 20-01836, payable to the Toms River Democratic Club, yes to the balance.
Councilman Cobb.
I abstain from the following: 19-03996 and 20-02080. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Latano.
I have one option, please. It's 19-04460, paid to Preferred Behavioral Health, yes to the balance.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
I have one abstention. That's purchase order 20-02080, made out to Sylvan First Aid Squad. Yes to the balance.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Next, we have public comment.
Okay. Oh, you want to do, no, we're going to go to council comments first. Okay. Mayor, any comments this evening?
Thank you, Council President. Just a little bit on the budget. I mentioned last time that we'd had, in the first 4 months, we've had a 16% reduction in the confidential employees. That's resulted in a savings of about $500,000. In addition, the council at the last meeting passed the restructuring of the law department, which going forward into next year's budget should realize about a $300,000 savings. We've also eliminated any discretionary overtime in this crisis. We've instituted a hiring freeze, and the action tonight with the retirement of Officer Jarka, we're not going to be replacing him. That's a savings of about $140,000 going forward. So that's approximately $1 million in savings between this year and next in the budget. I also want to express my deep appreciation for our township employees during the tornado on April 21st. Toms River Police Department, Public Works, the fire departments, OEM, and the sheriffs were out there on scene within about a half an hour. The debris was being removed. I will tell you that all roads were passable on Wednesday afternoon. We had a number of trees come down and power lines, and JCP&L took care of the power lines, energized new power lines, removed the down lines, and we were able to remove all the trees. And by Wednesday afternoon, everything was passable. And I've had a number of emails, very positive, from the residents on Gilmore's Island, Twin Oaks, and Derry Street, commending our employees, and I just want to reach out and thank them. Also want to thank the council members for the Pop the Trunk for the last 2 Fridays. That's taking place at East Dover, Walnut Street, Citta, South Toms River, 3rd Avenue parking lot in Ortley. from 11 to 12:30. And Just Believe on Fridays from 2 to 4 is conducting a food drive or food delivery at the First Assembly of God Church on 800. This unprecedented COVID event has left a lot of people temporarily unemployed and without a paycheck, so they're experiencing food insecurity. And I want to thank the council for stepping up and meeting that need on Fridays. I'll also want to thank our community supporters, Fulfill, A Need We Feed, Just Believe, the Salvation Army, our senior center for taking care of our senior residents and staff, and also all the restaurants that have contributed hot meals. I want to also thank our employees who last Thursday night, along with Council President Maruka, Councilman Terrence Turnback, myself, went to Fulfill in Neptune, and for 3 hours from 4 to 7, we packed food boxes and pallets. I want to thank Don Guardian, Alex Davidson, Amanda Oberg, Craig Lapp, Gail Catania for helping us out. We had two assembly lines of Toms River people. We must have done probably 5 or 6 pallets easy with 30 or 30 boxes on each pallet. And those go out and they're distributed to the community. If you're looking for a donation, Fulfill's a wonderful organization. They've been supplying food boxes both to our schools and on our Friday programs, and also to Just Believe. So I want to thank them. I had a conference call this afternoon with Governor Murphy's staff. I asked that they open up the parks and the golf courses. They've told me there's going to be information coming out Thursday. We anticipate them opening the parks and the golf course by this weekend. I've also asked to open up the construction industry. And I think that'll be one of the first industries coming back online. So I look for positive word on the parks and our golf course. So hopefully we'll be able to get those back up and running. And I'm looking forward to that coming later this week on Thursday. And I'll let the council know the minute we hear, and also Mr. Guardian, and we'll start getting the golf course open. Thank you.
Mayor. Councilwoman York.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to make a couple of comments on some information that was shared this evening about the budget that, and maybe attacks on me personally that I think are unwarranted. So I do read the budget, but I also pay attention throughout the year and look at the individual line items. So when you want to talk about the ice skating rink, our ice skating rink was in desperate need of repairs to the wall. The outdoor rink was into disrepair and was absolutely needed to be repaired, or we'd have to close it. And at a time when the schools are cutting back all of their recreation programs, we can't take that away from the children in our town. It provides them the opportunity for affordable sports leagues. There's special needs sports opportunities. There was a young man that's 10 years old that has cerebral palsy who was featured in a video this year because he has the opportunity to skate at Winding River. So that is not the reason that our taxes are increasing this year. The ice skating rink is a value-added opportunity for the people of Toms River. It adds to their property value. The fact that we have a great facility like that to offer to the children of Toms River, especially when the schools are cutting back. And as far as the golf course, which was mentioned twice, I just want to say that we had several meetings this year that I attended, and I know who was there and who wasn't. And we met multiple times to redesign the physical course as well as the operations to make it self-sustaining so that we didn't have to either sell it or close it. And that's another value-added opportunity for especially our seniors. They really enjoy the public course. They can't all afford to go to the Toms River Country Club. And so those are things that, they are line items on the budget, but that's not why we had to increase the taxes this year. And I'd like to thank Mr. Davidson for doing an amazing job coming in just a few short months ago and really trimming down the budget as much as he possibly could in rather adversarial circumstances in terms of challenges that we have to the township. So I'd just like to comment that. As far as COVID-19, we have seen a decrease in the stats this week, which is wonderful for the state. We saw a decrease in hospitalizations, diagnoses, mortalities. Over the last couple of days, we're seeing a flattening of the curve. So I just want to say that everyone's doing a really great job staying home, staying safe. And if you have to go out there, taking precautions, wearing masks, wearing gloves, and don't forget that hand washing all the time. But everybody's doing a great job. Keep it up. And hopefully we won't have to continue much longer. And I'd like to say that I'm so glad that we were able to help some of the people that were impacted by the tornado past week, especially during the pandemic, which makes everything more stressful. A tornado is terrifying on a standard day. When you've been in seclusion and you've been, under great stress financially due to the pandemic, it just makes it that much worse. And thank you, Mayor Hill and Councilman Turnbuck and Kopp and Council President Maruka for really being out there chipping in. And Councilman Gagan, I know you're out there with the first responders actually in the meeting because you were out, saving people. So thank you. And on that note, thanks to our first responders and to our OEM. They've been doing a wonderful job throughout the pandemic and as well during the tornado. So thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilman York. Councilman Kopp.
Thank you, Council President. So I'd just like to talk about Pop the Trunk that we've been having as a township. I think it's a great turnout and it's a great showing of a community really getting together to help each other out. I'm looking forward to continuing doing that. If you always reach out to the township, we will find the resources for you and help you out as much as we can. I would also like to thank the council in a bipartisan measure regarding the efficiency study. Nobody likes the budget that we are currently looking at. I'm a taxpayer, business owner in the township. So I'm seeing this increase firsthand. The efficiency study is something that's going to be helping us make very tough decisions in the next few months. And just like this was a bipartisan support in the efficiency study, I think it's going to be a bipartisan support in the tough decisions that we have. And I look for the council to come together and be the doers that we are and not just the talkers. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Kopp. Councilman Roderick.
Well, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some information that just recently came to my attention regarding the ongoing investigation into the alleged leaking of executive session discussions that occurred at our February 11th meeting. A commissioner at the Municipal Utilities Authority recently reached out to tell me that Assemblyman Greg McGuckin had taken him out to breakfast on February 5th, 6 days before our February 11th meeting, to discuss commissioner health benefits and the MUA director position that was being vacated by former club president Bob DiBiase. The commissioner said that Greg McGuckin had asked him not to reappoint the executive director position until he got word from the assemblyman. Given that the assemblyman is not the township attorney, Mr. McGuckin had no legal basis to be negotiating who would lead the MUA or what kind of benefit packages commissioners would receive. Given that the director's position is appointed by the commissioners, and given that the assemblyman also discussed commissioner health benefits at that same breakfast, I can't help but wonder whether or not the assemblyman was pressuring or even threatening the commissioners to gain control of the Municipal Utilities Authority. Also, I want to know why the assemblyman is so interested in influencing who is being hired to direct the Toms River Municipal Utilities Authority. Could it be because the Municipal Utilities Authority is a contract-rich authority with millions of dollars in work every year? Now that we know who the real leak is, do we really need to spend $300 an hour to investigate this? Or should we be asking the authorities to investigate Mr. McGuckin's meeting? Especially if the Assemblyman was telling commissioners of an independent authority when and who to hire as a director, while simultaneously discussing the commissioner's health benefit package. We're going to have to bring in an independent agency to sort all of this out, because it also turns out that the man hired to investigate this leak, suggested by the mayor, Mr. Mankoff, just so happens to also have a conflict with Assemblyman McGuckin. I also believe that many of the conversations that have been occurring in executive session lately do not meet the confidentiality requirements set forth by statute, and I believe they are a clear violation of the Sunshine Law. So I'm also going to be asking the Department of Community Affairs to investigate the mayor and the administration as well. We're not supposed to be setting policy behind closed doors. It's supposed to be out in the open. And in response to Ms. Urick, I'll leave that for another time.
Okay, Councilman Roderick. Councilman Turnbach. Councilman Turnbach, are you with us?
I'm here. Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I want to thank all the volunteers who have come out to Walnut Street School over the past 3 weeks for the Pop the Trunk food distribution. I've been out there every week with them, and I specifically want to thank the Schlafer family. I want to thank John Krupp. I want to thank Eamon Mulholland. I want to thank Jennifer Coyle Howe. I want to thank Shelley Linworth, Don Guardian, and Paul Daly. These are members of our community who are selflessly giving their time to help those that are in most need in our community right now. And I can tell you, I get out to that site at 9 o'clock for an 11 o'clock opening. And by 9:30, we have cars lined up from the distribution table out to Walnut Street Road, because that's the need right now. We have 175 boxes that are delivered to Walnut Street at 11 o'clock. We technically open up, and by 12:29, those boxes are gone. We also have these volunteers that are making deliveries to people's houses. These are the real heroes, the people that come out. They're not coming out for elected office. They're not coming out for a Facebook post. They're coming out to do the right thing, and they certainly deserve the recognition, and I'm very thankful for them. Along those lines, we got a message from a resident last week after the tornado or the storm about the damage to Assembly of God Church on Bay Avenue. And I contacted Councilman Latano, and he dropped what he was doing, and we went out there. And we attempted to cut down trees to help out what we could do whatever we could do. While out there, I want to recognize Jimmy Capone and Kristen Capone. The Capones are a wonderful Toms River family. Their restaurant, I always say, is the anchor of our downtown. But you want to talk about another person or another family who's risen to the occasion right now, it's the Capone family. They showed up, 80 pizzas they organized, and we're going door to door to the families that were affected, to the workers that were out there. People talk about strong Toms River. There's no better example of that than the Capone family. And I'm so thankful to have them here, and they really deserve to be recognized. And at a point in time when we can gather together in the Hirschbaum room, I'm going to ask the council to recognize all these people, all the volunteers that are out at the food distributions, these restaurants, Just Believe and Eat and Feed, Capone, who are really doing the right thing. I want to thank Mayor Hill and Council President Maruka, who have really been steering these food distributions. We were out there on Thursday night at Fulfill. It's eye-opening. Fulfill has 1.2 million pounds of food at their location in Neptune. And we're giving out hundreds of thousands of pounds to people that are in desperate need. So Mayor Hill, Council President, you've led by example, which is something that's important to me. It's something I always preach, and I'm so thankful to be able to work alongside of you. On Saturday and on today of this week, the Asbury Park Press had articles with regard to our school budget. And I know our Board of Ed is doing everything they can do, given the state cuts. And we're all against the state cuts. And I'm proud of the efforts of our Board of Ed. One of the mentions in the article, in addition to potential for what's called pay to play for students in extracurricular activity, sports, the drama club, what have you. I obviously have great concerns about a pay to play system because inherently that could bring a disparity amongst our public high school students as to who can play and who cannot play. And I know that's not what the Board of Ed wants, and they are working to do everything they can do to avoid that. That was the tenor of the articles. I think we can do more. I had referenced previously, and when I say we can do more, I mean not the Board of Ed, I mean us as a council or us as residents of Toms River. Other townships, other municipalities have educational foundations. And when I read the initial article on Saturday, I began to do the research, and I'm going to confirm to you tonight that we will be setting up the Toms River Educational Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization to try and help the school, all right, to try and raise money privately to bridge the gap here, because we want extracurricular activities, sports, whatever young men and women are involved in, to me are just as important as the lessons they are learning in the classroom. It's a part of the total high school, intermediate school experience. And we've got to do our part to find creative ways to make sure that that's not taken away from those students. They're our future leaders. And I've begun the process of initiating this Toms River Educational Foundation. I'll be meeting with accountants and beginning to ask people within the community to join on as directors. But I appreciate everything the Board of Education is doing in these times where we are facing these terrible state cuts. And I want you to know that we as residents are here to try and help you as well. Also want to thank Nick Zorju, and I'm happy to hear that the farmers market is considered essential. And May 20th, we'll have some fresh produce downtown. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Turnbuck. There was a participant in one of our council meetings, I want to say about a month or two ago, when we were talking about Toms River schools, and she had set up an school education fund in another municipality that she had previously lived in. I think if we went back to our minutes, we could probably get her name, but she actually had offered to help and guide Toms River in any assistance that she needed. So that might be another resource for us.
Absolutely, Council President, thank you for that.
Okay, great. Councilman Gagan.
Thank you, Council President. One moment. I also have enjoyed my time. It's sad to see how many residents that we have in need on Fridays with the pop the trunk and whatnot. It's really heartwarming to tell people in a different light than when I'm used to normally being there. A couple of quick things. I would like to ask the legal department, Mr. Fitzsimmons, for an opinion. I think that you may have actually authored a few years ago regarding the budget and with this form of government, how the council, we can vote no on certain items and not, yes on the other, rather than the whole budget as a package. I can certainly get with you at another time, but I'd like to see that or get some clarification on that. As far as the ice rink, I do think it's certainly of value to this township that we do have one. Normally, there's 52 employees there. Many of them are, in fact, part-time. That was before the quarantine. We're now down to 2. I have to commend them both, Dara and Dean. They're there in the morning to open up for the contractors while this work is going on there, and they're there to lock up. It's certainly not an 8-hour day for them. Prior to the quarantine, there was also 4 full-timers. 2 of them, one has been laid off, a program director, and the other one was reassigned. With some of the work that the 2 people are doing, other than opening and closing, they're doing the paperwork and holding the contractors, feet to the fire, so to speak. Just this week, Dara caught an $18,800 error going through paperwork. So thank you, Dara, and as a township employee for looking out for us. Now more than ever is the time to set political parties aside and work together to get us, the township, its residents and businesses through this pandemic. It's not the time for grandstanding and creating division. We are only as strong as the weakest link. Our residents voted for each and every one of us to do the best of our ability, act responsibly in their best interest, and to act courteous towards one another. We have to continue that. As far as the nursing home ordinance, that was something that I had asked. It was brought up at the Public Safety Committee meeting. It was forwarded to the Law Department. It's basically an abuse of our municipal services with nursing homes where ambulances are tied up there. And just as it was actually myself and Councilman Kopp on a Silverton ambulance in Lake Bridge, another ambulance was tied up at a nursing home, or the other available ambulances were tied up at nursing homes. And then a resident called that lives in Shelter Cove that doesn't have medical assistants or RNs by their side. And there was a significant delay in getting it to them. Nursing homes, they are private entities. There's Medicare funding issues that are involved if they ship too many patients out through their private contracted carrier that they're required to have. And this ordinance is duplicated in Monmouth County. That's where we got it from, to make sure our municipal services aren't, wasted. We're just tightening the noose on that. The other thing I personally have been asked about and saw on different websites is the corona outbreak map. It is true. There is one. And this information has been gathered from the Ocean County Health Department, and it's passed along to municipalities to make their first responders, such as myself, aware of potential hazards. The Ryan White Act was expanded to include COVID-19 reporting. It's a fine line, as people's health care should be protected and not published for all to see, just as if someone was infected with HIV. It is no one's business except their own and does not belong on the internet. I can assure you that the naysayers are making statements that the virus is more predominant in one section of town. I can assure you it's not, and you would be quite alarmed. As Councilwoman Hurek had said, there's a lot of comorbidities that go along with this. It affects our senior population, people with lung diseases and whatnot. It is not isolated in one area of town whatsoever. In fact, that's probably the least populated area where there's been issues. With that being said, everybody stay safe, keep your distance, and wash your hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Geoghegan. Councilman Latano.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to quickly, I know we got to it a lot today, discuss the budget. I am on the Finance Committee, so I just want to clarify that when you hear of 5.8 or a 6% increase, that is not total. That's the municipal portion of the budget. So your kids are not going up 6%. It's the municipal portion of the budget. Just to put that in perspective, I believe in 2016, they went up 6%, 2015, 4.9%, and 2014, 7.4%. We have not had an increase in 3 years. Nobody wants one. The problem is that without cutting spending, township employees, there's contracts, 2% raises. Without cutting spending, you can't take the same amount of money in every single year. That is why, I was a big proponent, as well as Councilman Kopp, in the efficiency study and best practices study. Today, we voted on it to get the proposals in for that. It is going to be a tool. I mean, that's what it's going to be. It's not a plan just to fire people. We're going to be looking into redundancies, shared service opportunities, look into outsourcing opportunities, best practices and government strategies of other towns of our size, with the same form of governments. We will take what we learn into contract negotiations and hopefully, better the town using the efficiency study as a tool. And we voted on that today. Also, things we voted on today was the Toms River will reimburse residents up to $750 for the sidewalk damage for the storm. That is a good thing to help the people in the center of our town. Also, the property tax pushback to June 1st without interest that Governor Murphy put an executive order to today. Another fantastic thing for our taxpayers here. And I love the idea that Councilman Turnbach just came up with the school foundation. I want to end it with just the thank yous to Fulfill, DRJ Catering with the Operation Barbecue, who's supplying full meals for residents in need, especially to echo what Councilman Turbach said, the Capone family has really gone above and beyond. Toms River Police Department and Department of Public Works in that storm last week, it was, they really showed up and they got it done. That's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Councilman Latano. Just a couple things I want to talk about with our budget that we finished our public hearing tonight and then we will be adopting on May 12th. There is a 3.7 increase in there. I don't think there's anyone on this council that likes to raise taxes or wants to raise taxes. But it's something that one of the things that's in there is the CDL loan from FEMA, the FEMA reimbursement. If we could get FEMA to, forgive that loan, it would not be in place for this budget, but it would be something we could put that monies towards in the next budget. That monies is due in 2023, but our CFO has come up with a fiscal plan to put that money aside every year, so we don't have to come up with the whole amount at one time, which could be quite a bit of dollars and could be a potentially large tax increase. So kind of easing the pain, as you will, going forward with that. If we can get that reduced or we can get that forgiven, that would be even better. Councilman Latano had mentioned that new to the Finance Committee. Well, so am I. We're 4 months on this committee. We're having a committee meeting next week to start looking at other ways that we can start saving township money in specific ways through healthcare, through shared services. Everything's on the table. That we're not just going to wait for a budget cycle. We're going to continue this. We're going to have finance meetings throughout the year, just not to look at the budget. So we'll be taking steps under the direction of Alex Davidson, our CFO, who has done a yeoman's job considering all the challenges that have been thrown on him in the past, say, month or two. A couple things that we've touched on before was Fulfill and all the great work they're doing there. And I got to tell you, it was a humbling experience going up to Fulfill last Thursday evening and see the operation that they have, see the dedicated volunteers they have there that come in and day out. As we're there on the food line, there was a volunteer there, and it was 5:30 at night, and she'd been there since 8 o'clock that morning. People have come together from all portions of Ocean and Monmouth County to make sure that our residents are filled. And the members of this council have been doing their jobs to make sure that the residents of Toms River are fed and their needs are met. Some of the other employees that have been coming out is our OEM has been great. They've been coming out to every site. They are doing home deliveries, our CSOs on their times off and things of that nature. Our police department, who has been with us every step of the way at every pop the trunk we've had. And also to the families that Councilman Turnbach and also Councilman Latano met, the Capone family. They have done a great job. In the Eastover section, we've had Four Seasons Diner. There's so many residents, there's so many businesses that have stepped up and really helped, and I can't wait so we can bring them into a council meeting and honor them individually for the work that they have done throughout this pandemic that we've been facing. DRJ Catering, we did the barbecue with them. It was a week ago, and then they're going to be doing 4 more dates. They are tentative for this Friday at the Presbyterian Church. That's going to be weather permitting, so we will have more information on that. But one thing I can tell you, what isn't weather dependent, it's our Pop the Trunk events, no matter what. They were delivering in the pouring rain last Friday morning at 9 o'clock, and we were set up, and the residents were lining up. The need is becoming greater and greater every week. And then there's a group of volunteers over in Ortley Beach. We call them the Soup Troop. They stepped up last week and they made 50 quarts of homemade soup for our residents that were distributed at the senior center. These are just average, everyday citizens that are pulling together because they love Tom's River. They're doing it not because they have to, they're doing it because they want to do it. And that's the type of community we have here. And they're not looking for recognition. They're not looking to get their name out there. They're just looking to serve the residents of Tom's River. And that's what makes me the proudest of all of this. At this time here, I would like to open it up to public comment. Destiny has been working the computer. If anyone from the public has any questions for mayor and council, now would be the time to email those questions, or you might already have emailed them to questions@tomsrivertownship.com. 3 questions per email. If you have more, you can just go right back in line. I'm going to reach out to Destiny now and see if she has received any comments or any questions from the public for our public, for our open for public comment period.
Thank you, Council President. I do have some emails here from some of our residents. We have an email from Dennis Galanti, 1149 Cherokee Court, Toms River. Their email says, last meeting, a comment I sent was not read. I spoke of the amount of foreclosures at the sheriff's sale in Ocean County and particularly Toms River. I can not get those figures this week on the Ocean County Sheriff's sale have been halted. While the council and mayor are reporting cuts in spending, it's just not enough. Just my opinion. We have, I'm sorry.
Is there anything else from Mr. Galanti?
Yes, there is one more. Let me just make sure. He also wrote an email, while rolling over bonds, retiring, and rebonding, have you refunded existing bonds at the 1 basis point federal decrease in the rates? What is our total increase in bonding this year?
Okay. Mr. Davison, I'm going to ask you to be able to reach out to answer Mr. Galanti's question there. I believe he's asking for, how much we have bonded as of this year, and what is the rate we are bonding at? Is that correct, Destiny?
Yes.
All right. So any refundable debt that we currently have has been refunded. Refunding is just another word for refinancing for the most part. To realize a net present value savings, we have done that. Currently, in our capital plan this year, we have a net decrease in our debt of approximately $400,000 or $500,000. What you want to do, which is good fiscal policy, is whatever principal you pay down on your debt, you don't want to, in a normal capital spending plan, authorize more debt than that. You want it to stay as flat as possible. Obviously, during certain times, you're going to have to go higher for emergent circumstances. Hurricane Sandy is a perfect example. We had to, authorize a lot of debt for that. But in your normal capital plan, where you're replacing equipment, maintenance to facilities, new facilities, you want to try and stay as even in the total as possible. And this year, we were able to realize a savings that is subject to the bond ordinance that we will have to introduce in the coming meetings. We are going to be looking at permanently financing. That's just a fancy term for going out to bond some of our debt, as we have a debt fall off of next year in our bonded debt. I believe that answers all of his questions. If it doesn't, please let me know.
Okay, thank you. Destiny, anything else from Mr. Galanti?
Nope, that was it for Mr. Galanti.
Okay, if he does send another comment in, please let us know after. We'll take the next resident.
Okay, we have Arthur Anderson, 12 Park Street, Toms River, New Jersey. Howard Mankoff of the Rosalind Law Firm was hired at a fee of $300 an hour. Is there a cap or a maximum amount that he can charge the town?
I would ask Mr. Fitzsimmons for that. I mean, if he's at $300 an hour, that is his hourly rate. He is one of our pool attorneys.
I don't have the resolution in front of me, so I don't know if there's a cap in the resolution or not.
Okay. We do not have that resolution in front of us. We can get that answer to Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
He's looking for a cap. And The hourly rate is 300. He's looking for a cap in the resolution.
Yeah.
We can provide that.
Okay. Destiny, could you please let Mr. Anderson know that we will be reaching out to him and providing him that information just in case he is not on the viewing the council meeting right now?
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Anything else for Mr. Anderson?
No, that was it.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes, I have a Christine Golembeski, 351 Kettle Creek Road. She said, consent agenda G. Why is the person being forced to retire?
That was the resolution.
Maria,
Okay. Yes,
Maria,
Mayor.
I think it's a disability. So it's a involuntary disability, I believe.
Okay. He's retiring, you're saying because of his disability, then he's unable to perform the duties responsible of a police officer.
Correct. It's an involuntary disability from, I think it's from the JIF.
Okay.
I talked to the chief, so.
Mr. Guardian or Alex, anything to add into that, or is Mayor correct?
The mayor is correct. This is really boilerplate stuff that the Division of Pensions wants in order to certify his disability retirement.
Thank you, Mr. Davidson. Anything else from Ms. Golembeski?
No.
All right. Next resident?
We have Debbie Martin. Sorry, I'm just looking for her
Okay.
address again. Okay, she's at 1921 Ocean Ave, Unit 2, Ortley Beach, and she just wrote in saying she was still waiting for tax increase info based on a house in Ortley or waterfront in Toms River from Mr. Guardian.
Well, the tax increase would be 3.7 cents. And it would depending on the assessment of her home. Is she looking for a specific assessment on her
I
home?
may be able to assist that. So we normally speak of $275,000 as an average home in the township. That's correct. At our meeting with Ortley Beach, I think 2 weeks ago, they had asked what the average priced assessment is in Ortley Beach, and that is $325,000. So a home in Ortley Beach averages $325,000. A home township-wide is $275,000.
No.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Guardian. Is there anything else from Ms. Martin?
No.
Do you have another resident?
Michelle Williams, 111 Tiller Drive, Toms River. She says insurance is a big ticket item on many major budgets, as I am well aware as the chair of our school district's insurance committee. Through the diligence of our BA, Bill Doring, we have managed areas of savings. Though this is still an enormous cost, my question is there a reason why Councilman Roderick suggests to look into the area of insurance is not being entertained?
Mr. Guardian, would you answer that for us, please?
Is that question for me or is that question for Mr. Guardian?
No, I'm answering it to Mr. Guardian. I asked Mr. Guardian.
No, I mean
She didn't
from Ms.
to you.
Williams.
It wasn't directed to you. Mr. Guardian, could you please answer that?
Certainly. So the Finance Committee reviews the different choices that we have with insurance each year. It has gone up enormously. 3 years ago, $1.2 million. 2 years ago, over $3 million. And so we have made a very direct effort to drastically change the health plan. The chief financial officer and I are meeting with our broker tomorrow to get the final numbers for this year. And we will be back to the administration committee with a number of recommendations some short-term that will trim a large amount, up to $2 million off the budget, and then long-term with collective bargaining agreements and the opportunities we have by joining the state health plan, another several million dollars. So that's what you'll see. Alex and I will be before the administration committee with the very specific details of the 400 or so individuals that are active, meaning they're working in the township now, and how the changes will affect them, and the positive changes for the township, and as well as the 260 or so retirees that we pay for as well.
Thank you, Mr. Guardian. Does Ms. Williams have any other questions?
Can I just ask, are we going to shop this year, Mr. Guardian? Are we going to shop?
Absolutely.
Are we going to shop other providers this year, or are we not? Because we could say we're making efforts, but we don't have to shop. Then we're not really making an effort, and we haven't shopped. It's been years.
Yes.
He's saying yes. He's saying yes.
You guys said yes last year.
No.
That we would shop, and now this year we're.
Whatever you told us to do, you were the finance committee. We respond to you. You asked us to shop
in that committee meeting as well, and we were not shopping. Right? We've already said that we weren't going to shop this year. I'm for shopping. So I just want to clarify that for Ms. Williams. I'm for shopping around, but it doesn't appear that I have the support of the rest of the council or the mayor to shop around.
We are all in favor of shopping.
Not this year. Not this year. It's always
this
other year.
This year, we're all in favor of shopping around.
I think.
Well, let's shop. Let's see you shop.
We are shopping, but you can't shop unless you actually know the cost that you currently have in order to be able to go out. You suggested that we become self-insured. We'll explain why we can or cannot do that.
Last year, you said you would make changes this year. The mayor said he would make changes last year when he was on council, that he would work to do that, and we haven't. We're doing the same thing again. Ms. Williams is absolutely correct. We're not doing anything.
You'll have the opportunity in a few weeks to.
And it's the majority of our costs, that and payroll. That's where all of your tax dollars go. Payroll and health insurance.
Okay. And Mr. Guardian and Alex have a meeting tomorrow, Councilman Roderick, and they will report their findings back to the administration.
They should have had it 6 months ago, Anyway, that way we wouldn't have to raise people's taxes.
Does Ms. Williams have any other questions?
No.
Is there any other residents have any other questions?
One more. We have Tony Tamarazzo from 265 Coolidge Ave, Ortley Beach. He has two questions. Question number one is reopening of public spaces. What is the plan for the beaches on the barrier island?
Right now, we are waiting for Governor to give us direction. I believe the mayor said with his conference call today that hopefully by the end of the week, we should have some direction on outdoor space. Possibly beaches will be included in that.
Maria, the indication from the governor's staff was that they were going to be making a decision latter part of this week on parks and golf courses. There is a meeting of the Barrier Island mayors on Monday to discuss opening the beaches and the boardwalks. I don't know that they're going to make a move on the beaches this weekend. When I spoke to one of the mayors, they said they were going to leave the beaches closed for this weekend, but discuss it on Monday. And if the governor opens up the parks and the golf courses, I think they'll start to see beach and boardwalk openings starting next week. But that'd be decision made by all the mayors on the Barrier Island or on the beachfront, so that they do it in unison and you don't have one beach opening and all the others closed. It would just make sense that they open them in unison.
Thank you, Mayor. And what is her other question? Anything else?
Yep, question number two. The Toms River budget is anticipated to increase. The mayor and council are not responsible for the other components of the Toms River taxpayer bills, school board and county. But our elected officials are likely familiar with the possible changes or increases in the school board and county tax levy to gauge overall impact on our residents. Please comment on what Toms River residents may expect to see with respect to these two tax authorities and what the total impact may be for Toms River property taxes.
Mr. Guardian, have we gotten any indication from Toms River Schools or the counties of what their budget increase would be? I know the school board has a meeting tomorrow evening. Has the county?
The county has not. The school board meeting is tomorrow, so you'll know exactly what the impact will be. Considering that the school budget is 50% of the property tax budget, it'll have the greatest effect on the increase in taxes this year. I'm not familiar with the county having made the decision on that taxes. The taxes from the county represent 21% of the property tax bill.
So I guess, Tony, to answer your question there, we do not have the complete picture yet. We'll have a better handle once the school board votes on their budget tomorrow evening, and as soon as we get some numbers from the county on that. Destiny, any other questions for Mrs. Chamazo?
No.
Any other residents have questions?
There are no more emails from the residents at this time.
Council President, with that stated, I'd move to close the public portion comment of this meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Council, we do have an executive session this evening.
Move to executive session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Allison, you're going to have to read the executive session agenda
Okay.
so the public.
Yes. As always, I will read the executive session meeting resolution first, whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from the meeting in certain circumstances to discuss matters requiring confidentiality and/or of a privileged nature, and whereas the Township Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Toms River and the County of Goshen and State of New Jersey as follows. The Township Council will now conduct a private executive session. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed and/or acted upon is as follows. Matters of personnel, attorney-client privilege, and contract negotiations. The following specific items to be discussed and/or acted upon are as follows. Executive session minutes review. Actually, we did not have executive session minutes from last meeting, so that is null and void. Number 2 is personnel issues of the Township Clerk's Office, administration, and changes in confidentials, the health plan for Township employees. Review of all property acquisitions, voluntary acquisitions, and eminent domain actions. Discuss PPA grievance regarding payment of contractual benefits for accumulated sick leave to retired Detective Randy Petrick. Possible acquisition of Surf Club property, and the economic conditions due to COVID-19 cost savings. It is anticipated that the deliberations conducted in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Council that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality.
Council, we're going to ask you to close out this meeting and then open up your executive session meeting. And we'll be back online in a couple minutes.
quiet he was. I didn't think he was at the last meeting. I kept looking at my board over here to see the red dot.
You should shave that beard.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate that.
You were saying
I
that's some
say leave it.
full-blown hair going on over there, buddy.
Let me know when
Yeah,
everyone's
I
in the
know.
meeting. We'll switch it back over to the live feed.
Matt, did you stick your head out the window on the way here to get the hair like that?
Don't hate.
Just answer the question.
Six, 7.
I think we're waiting for Louis and Allison with us.
I believe meeting room is with us.
Yep.
I'm
Okay.
going to switch back over to the YouTube.
Okay.
We are live.
I'm going to make a motion to go back into public session.
So moved.
That was the second.
Oh, I just heard it. I thought it must have been Maria.
No, it was Lori
Should be
making the
like-
motion.
Councilwoman Yurick, second by Councilman Roderick. All in favor? Aye.
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 To adjourn?
No further business.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
great night. Thank you.
Great night.